Lane, what were the biggest adjustments that you saw from the guys from the first period through to the third period tonight to really flip things around?
I think, early on we were having trouble, making some plays coming out of our zone, and it ended up in a situation where we spent a lot of time in our zone in the first period, and we had the puck on our stick a lot. So it's just some turnovers and things like that. I thought we did a better job of managing that. As the game went on, I also thought that we were a lot more aggressive sort of in the back half of the game.
Lane, on the goal that Marchman scores, Montour steals it in the defensive zone, raises it up the ice. Is that kind of your definition of turning defense into offense? Like, is that kind of what you're looking for on that front?
Yeah, he did exactly what we wanted him to do. Of course, he made an elite play. So certainly was well done from that standpoint. But the whole sequence was pretty well defended, and then you've got an elite player making an elite play. That's always nice to see.
And Jared McCann said there was some encouragement, as you would call it, in the dressing room in between periods. Did you hear any of that, or were you involved in the conversation at all to help turn things around in the second?
Yeah, I mean, you get into a home opener and there's some nerves. You've played some exhibition games, but you haven't played, quote unquote, a regular season or a real game for a long time. And if you're looking at the league as a whole right now, I think home teams were like 2-7 in the first two nights, or 2-5 in the first two nights. You get the introductions and your routine is a little off or whatever, and so there's times when teams are coming out a little slow, and that's what we did.
Congratulations, Coach, on your first win tonight.
You.
Though one goal scored per every 5 goals is an awesome ratio, how do you feel about the net presence of that first initial quarter with 5 shots on goal?
Well, again, we got outshot pretty badly in the first period. Spent a lot of time in our zone, so obviously the goal early on was nice to have, but we knew we needed to get a little bit more on the offense, and I think as the game went on, we did.
To see Brandon be able to make that play with the downtime he had during camp and such, what does that kind of say about him and the effort he was able to give with the couple weeks off and everything, and to be able to jump back into it like that this early, this quickly?
Well, it just it shows you what kind of player he is. He's a top end NHL defenseman, and so it was an outstanding play. But he did a lot of good things tonight. He drives us up the ice, he drives the offense. So it's certainly nice to see him involved, and he was desperately needed by our hockey team tonight, and he did a great job.
Coach, somebody mentioned net front presence earlier, and all 3 of your goals tonight had an element of net front presence between Tobin and screen, and then the 2 bang-bang conversions. What, in a game like this, when it's so tight checking and both teams are structurally sound, I mean, how much is that going to be a difference maker, do you think, going forward for your team? And were you pleased with how much of it you saw? Especially
I thought it was pretty good. And to answer your question, how much of it's critical. There's little details and little things within the game that make the difference between winning and losing. And there's a number of those things, but certainly net presence is one of them. The goaltenders are too good in this league that if you don't get in front of them and take away their vision a little bit at times, you're not going to have a lot of success. So we'll continue with that theme and continue to try to get them there.
Jeff, can you hand that mic to Joe there?
Why did you decide to sit Yanni Newman for the last 15 or so? It seemed like Stevenson was kind of double shifting on that line there.
Yeah, we were in a position where we shortened the bench a little bit. they were also shortening their bench as well. And so in order to, get the matchups and the proper matchups that I felt we needed, we shortened our bench.
And why do you think Newman wouldn't be able to, or I don't know if that's the case, but do you feel like he would have been able to step up there, or why?
Yeah, but at the end of the day, you just make decisions for the now, and we move forward from there, and it's part of his development and growth as well.
Coach, I thought Ryan Winterton was an unsung hero. I saw multiple times when what would have been a high danger scoring chance, he would back check or he would get in the way. He had a good scoring chance himself in the third period. I thought he did a lot of the unglamorous things that help you win.
I agree with you. That's a keen eye, because he did a lot of things well that maybe you don't necessarily see, or you don't see it on the score sheet. But in the role that he's playing in, he did a great job of doing that.
Yeah, I think he is trying to make it difficult for you to not keep him here.
Well, that's I'm sure he is, and he's doing a really good job of it. He's got speed. His detail is good, and I think he certainly adds something to the line that he plays on.
Great to see Brandon Montour back, but also up top on the power play there. How would you assess the looks that you got at your power play tonight?
I thought our power play, for the most part, we did some pretty good things. I think there's opportunities, a couple opportunities that we could have that we can shoot the puck on, and maybe not quite get too fancy. I thought we entered the zone pretty well, but we had some looks for sure.
Coach, what are some things that you're going to be working on here in the next few practices after seeing the performance tonight?
Well, we got to continue getting better on face-offs. I didn't think we were terrible, and I'm not talking about our centermen necessarily winning face-offs. I'm talking about our plan off of wins, or even our plan off of losses. I think we have to be more detailed and get better in that area, and then we'll continue to work on it. So.
Last two, Ariel, Kate.
Saw obviously Berkeley Catton was a healthy scratch tonight. I was just curious what you think the plan for him is going to be kind of going forward, especially in these early days.
Yeah, we'll continue to work with him. We'll continue to work on his development. There's a lot of different things that go into that. And we have Jessica and Justin Ryder doing a good job with helping him in that situation. He'll get his opportunity, at some point here. So. He just has to be patient. Everyone just has to be patient. We'll see where we go from there.
Is that your question, Kate? Yeah, you want to ask your last one?
Yeah, I'm just curious if you can tell us about the helmet that we saw as looked like maybe the Player of the Game award. If there's any story behind that.
It's super personal. It's inside the locker room. So those kinds of things. But it's a helmet from one of our owners that gave us the Formula One helmet from the movie. So I think it's pretty awesome that he did that. It's pretty special when players are able to give it to each other.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah.
Thank you.